Well, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is hanging on by a thread, barely surviving a vote of non-confidence today. And the Liberal media is trying to pretend that the whole vote of non-confidence was brought by Conservatives over a dental plan. Well, Pierre Poilievre on the opposition just destroyed the Liberal media over that lie. Watch this.
And that's why we have a common sense plan to axe the tax, build the homes, fix the budget, and stop the crime. Axe the tax. This will be a carbon tax referendum. A carbon tax election. And I know that the media has worked hard to try and avoid me saying the words carbon tax, as we saw in the extremely dishonest and fraudulent report from Bell Media-controlled CTV, who is a company that is whose bonds have been downgraded to near junk status as its overpaid CEO empties the books to pay his wealthy friends an unacceptably and unrealistically high dividend. But the reason why he and his other cronies of that company are going after me is because he knows that I'm standing up for the people against the crony capitalists and insiders like him.
And Justin Trudeau just appeared on the Stephen Colbert show. I mean, those are two peas in a pod trying to save his job in New York City. David Crayden writes at the Post Millennial. He's got a great YouTube channel as well, Crayden's Right. And he joins us now to talk about all of this. A lot of craziness happening in Canada, David. So it appears that Justin Trudeau has a job for another day.
Yeah, I was a bit surprised how quickly this collapsed around the opposition motion. There was a lot of hope, a lot of encouragement at the very beginning that this was going to mean the end of this Trudeau tyranny, that Pierre Poilievre really was going to get some support from the other opposition parties. Suddenly we have Jagmeet Singh, the leader of the NDP, saying, it's not that I support Justin Trudeau anymore. Remember, I just ripped up our coalition agreement, but I just oppose Pierre Poilievre so much. I am so anti-conservative that I have to support the government. And of course, the treasonous, traitorous Bloc Québécois party, a separatist party that I always say has no business sitting in the House of Commons. It doesn't fight for Canada. It doesn't work for Canadians. It fights for separatism. But it also supported the Trudeau government in this. And once again, why are they doing that? Are they going to get some favors back from the Trudeau government? Well, of course they are. They have their agenda. It's all about Quebec for the Bloc. But the NDP, of course, we don't know what on earth Jagmeet Singh is thinking from one day to the next. And one day he's talking about ripping up the government, and I just can't stomach Justin Trudeau anymore. I can't stomach the Liberals because they have no credibility. They have nothing in common with the ordinary Canadians they pretend to represent. The next day he's talking about he has to support them. So these are very strange times politically in Canada. But I think Pierre Poilievre has made a point here with this non-confidence motion. He's going to continue to insist the government be accountable to Canadians, which Justin Trudeau continues to refuse to do. He does not want to be accountable. One of his ministers recently said, Canadians don't want elections. It was the Foreign Affairs Minister, actually, Melanie Joly, who said, Canadians don't want elections. They just want us to govern. Well, is he going to be saying that in 2025 if he survives until the next planned federal election? Will he say, Canadians don't need elections. They just need me. They just need the Liberals to continue to govern. This is a very ominous expression coming from any cabinet minister in the Liberal government.
We also have French President Emmanuel Macron is coming to Canada. That's going to be another peas in a pod there. It's amazing to me, the wildly unpopular French President Macron is coming to meet with Justin Trudeau, I guess, to try to bolster support in Canada. This is hilarious. I mean, is Macron well liked in Canada at all? What's the thinking here? I've seen the U.S. press calling it the Obama effect, like they're hoping that a little bit of that love from Emmanuel Macron will rub off on Trudeau.
I'm certainly not seeing any indication of this outpouring of affection for Emmanuel Macron. This is a man who wants to go to war with Russia, with a French military that's almost laughable. And besides that, he's been facing huge protests in his own country. So I don't know where the illusion is coming from that Macron has any popularity in Canada that's going to rub off on Trudeau. Trudeau will accept anybody's popularity at the moment. He's 20 percentage points behind the Conservative Party. He remains in the basement. He's going anywhere possible to get the love and affection he thinks he deserves. He's not getting it from Canadians. Wherever he goes, he faces protests. He faces opposition. So, as I think we're going to be discussing momentarily, he went to New York City to get some warmth and affection, first of all, from the United Nations, where I believe he wants to be the next Secretary General to replace the very aged Antonio Guterres. He was auditioning for a job there this week. Then he goes where, of course? He goes to see Stephen Colbert, where the audience just thinks Justin is so cool.
I mean, one of the questions I was actually surprised, he kind of brought up the fact that he's been, not well liked. He talked about the unpopularity and I loved his response. And we can't show any clips of the Colbert Show because we'll get a copyright strike for whatever reason. The Colbert Show in 60 Minutes, they don't want you promoting their show at all and talking about it. So we'll just show you some still images here. But what's interesting is that Trudeau said in response to why he's so unpopular, he said, people are taking a lot out on me for understandable reasons. I've been here and I've been steering us through all of these things, and people are sometimes looking at change. Like, what does that mean? So the reason he's disliked in Canada is because he's been steering Canadians through troubled times, and he, that's why they dislike him. He steered you guys through COVID. He's steered you through the Ukraine war. He's your leader, David.
Well, he's steering us to the precipice of disaster. That's where we're going under Trudeau. But this is it's emblematic of a narcissistic individual to say, it's not my fault. It's not my problem. Don't you people realize that I'm just essential to your well-being, that I am essential to the future of Canada? This is how he talks now. He was asked about the non-confidence vote, for instance, and he said, it's about power for the Conservatives. And here I am. I don't want power. I'm seeking the good of all Canadians. And he talks in this ego-driven, unalloyed, narcissistic manner in a consistent way. But I laughed at him on the Colbert Show because he described Canada as this land of rainbows and unicorns. He said, well, not all the time, though, but we have our fair share of it. Is there a 10-year-old girl trying to emerge from the body of Justin Trudeau? Because rainbows and unicorns, it's very, very bizarre language. But I really almost lost it when he recommended Canada's healthcare system as the panacea for all of the U.S.'s ills, and that don't come up to our border for cheaper drugs anymore. Just have Medicare like we have, so you can spend more in your taxes than you already spend for private health care. And you can go outside of the country to find operations that you can't have done because Medicare can't provide them. 100,000 Canadians leave the country every year to go to the U.S., Stephen Colbert, for operations that they can't get in Canada in a timely manner. They'll die before they get the operation. That's how great Canada's healthcare system is.
Yeah, if you have an emergency, maybe you can get help there in Canada. But if you've got I have friends in Canada who've said ear, nose, and throat issue, other stuff, and the earliest appointment they could get was 2026 to go see a specialist to get it taken care of. 2026, like that's Canada's healthcare system. Way to go! It's unbelievable. And it's amazing that he's in New York meeting with the likes of Klaus Schwab at the United Nations and these other individuals, these globalists who are trying to wrest power away from sovereign governments. That is the plan. Over the weekend, the Summit for the Future, the Pact for the Future, which is what they were signing, basically takes sovereign power away from Canada, away from the United States, and it gives power to the United Nations. No wonder he was in New York. He's wildly unpopular, 33% approval rating for Trudeau. It seems to be the same strategy is being deployed in Canada as it is in the United States, David, which is we don't need voters. We don't need elections. We will just sort of sidestep all of that and we will just rule. So you like us. We don't need elections. We don't need voters. That's exactly what they're trying to do right now in the United States.
Well, precisely, because when Biden was running for president, people said, don't worry, it's the people around him that matter. Kamala Harris, you don't think she's very intelligent? Don't worry, she's surrounded by some great advisors. And that's the argument. Don't worry about who you vote for, worry about the people they surround themselves with. And of course, this is insanity. But it comes back to me, there is a stark similarity between the last days of Joe Biden as the Democratic presidential candidate and the last days of Justin Trudeau as the leader of the Liberal Party. 24 hours before Nancy Pelosi deposed Joe Biden as her party's candidate for president, Joe Biden was on the stage literally 24 hours beforehand saying, I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to be my party's candidate in the next presidential election. 24 hours later, he was passing the torch to a new generation. And it was just a game. Justin Trudeau was saying the same thing. He just lost another by-election, which we didn't mention. He lost a huge by-election in Montreal, Liberal stronghold like Toronto, a seat formerly owned by his justice minister at the time, David Lametti, who resigned his seat after he was demoted as justice minister. Strong Liberal seat, though. It was picked up by of all things, the Bloc Québécois, which really is not popular in Federalist Montreal. But Trudeau said, even before he lost it, he knew he was going to lose that seat. He said, I'm not going anywhere. And I thought, where have I heard that before? It sounds like Joe Biden.
Exactly. Yeah, we don't need voters anymore. I mean, yesterday on the show, I described the 28th Amendment in the United States and how they're moving to basically sidestep elections in the case of a mass casualty event, emergency powers. We don't need voters. We don't need special elections. And it seems like Canada moving in that direction as well. We don't need elections. Canadians just want people to rule. Maybe Zelensky. Maybe that's why Zelensky's in town. They can learn how it is to cancel elections and learn from that in Ukraine. David Krayden, great to see you as always. Really interesting times as we head into an election in the United States, watching what unfolds with the visit of Emmanuel Macron of Canada. I hope you guys roll out the welcome mat for the wildly unpopular Macron in Canada. David, great to see you as always, my friend.
Thank you so much, Clayton. See you soon.
Don't drink the Kool-Aid, folks. Don't listen to Justin Trudeau. We need this kind of attitude in Canada right now because, let me tell you, Justin Trudeau will fight tooth and nail to stay as leader of the Liberal Party and as Prime Minister of Canada, and he will use every trick in the Liberal handbook to do that. So we have to be vigilant, and we have to have perseverance to fight this battle to the end. As I've been saying since this station went on the air, we need to resolve to resist. And we need to fight for our free speech and our democratic rights to say what we believe, to speak, as John Diefenbaker said. And don't forget that t-shirt that's available out there in the store. I speak as a free Canadian, free to speak, free to believe in what I choose. And Justin Trudeau is not going to interfere with that. Thanks for being a part of the KRAYDEN'S Right resistance, and we'll see you again soon.
So we are in a very precarious position in this country. We need a political change, but we also need to resolve to resist.